The special counsel's investigation into alleged collusion between the Trump campaign and the Kremlin faces new questions on Capitol Hill as Republican lawmakers probe whether the Obama-era Justice Department may have used the so-called Trump dossier as justification to spy on the Trump campaign. That, plus this afternoon, the president spoke out about this investigation. Chief Washington correspondent James Rosen has our report.
When investigators for House Intelligence Chairman Devin Nunes arrived at the Justice Department Tuesday to review DOJ and FBI documents relating to the infamous Trump dossier, they were met by two Democratic committee staffers, two staffers for Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, and the Intelligence Committee's ranking Democrat, Adam Schiff, who had earlier argued against the subpoena that pried loose the documents.
It's only going to impede our ability to get at the facts.
The Trump dossier, of course, was the salacious compendium of unverified allegations against then-candidate Trump that was funded by the Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee and compiled with input from Russian sources by the research firm Fusion GPS. Nunes and other GOP lawmakers want to know whether Justice and the FBI used the dossier last year as the basis for surveillance warrants on Trump campaign personnel.
How would you describe the attitude of Democrats on the Intelligence Committee towards the probing of the origins of this so-called dossier and how they're accepting that?
Well, look, to me it looks like they're obstructing the investigation.
Committee sources said that DOJ was less than fully responsive to the subpoenas, particularly on foreign surveillance warrants, and that Nunes will seek additional production.
I'm not aware that any change would be necessary at this time.
The White House, meantime, expressed support for Agriculture Department nominee Sam Clovis, the Trump campaign official who encouraged George Papadopoulos to travel to Russia, if feasible, to strengthen contacts in and around the Kremlin. A low-level foreign policy advisor to the campaign, Papadopoulos has since pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI about his contacts with Russians last year. In the government's original motion to seal documents in the Papadopoulos case, filed shortly after his arrest in July and unsealed this week, the Mueller team argued for secrecy because premature disclosure of Papadopoulos' arrest would, quote, significantly undermine his ability to serve as a proactive cooperator.
That signals that he has probably been wearing a wire or tape recording his conversations with anybody that was involved in the campaign for President Trump.
As well, the special counsel's summary of the Papadopoulos case, Robert Mueller's first accounting of what happened in 2016, has received its first challenge from Joseph Mifsud, the professor who was said to have provided Papadopoulos entree to Russians with dirt on Hillary Clinton. While Professor Mifsud's resume appears thinly defined and his published works have supported the Putin regime, Mifsud told the Telegraph newspaper in London it was, quote, incredible for anyone to suggest he had ever been privy to dirt on Mrs. Clinton. Brett?
James, another newspaper getting some news today. The president commenting on the various investigations with the New York Times today. About that.
That's right. Late today, the president placed a brief telephone call to the New York Times, according to that newspaper, in which he stated, and I quote, "I'm not under investigation, as you know. With respect to the indictment of his former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, charges to which Mr. Manafort has entered a not guilty plea, the president said, even if you look at that, there's not even a mention of Trump in there. That's true. It has nothing to do with us." And with respect to the Washington Post report earlier this week that suggested the president is hunkered down amid the investigation and, quote, angry at everybody, the president told the New York Times, quote, "I'm actually not angry at anybody." And you know what, Brett, if that's true, that's an enviable place to be.